felt the way I got it.
Call this meeting to order for the Leslie Township Board meeting for April 11th, 2012. Roll call, please.
Wade? Yes. Bickers?
Yes.
Henny?
Present.
Allegini?
Yes.
Diesel here.
Everyone's here. Stand for the pledge, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. Opportunity for public comment.
We're just gonna let you off the hook tonight.
Hearing
No,
none.
I thought it was a good
I'm sorry.
meeting last night, neighborhood watch, I'm sure you heard about it. I get the impression they would like us to meet more frequently. My group usually only meets once a year.
Oh, I got the impression your group met like once a month.
No, that's Bunker Hill. I go to Bunker Hill.
They kept referring to that group over there. I thought they meant that you were meeting once a month.
Well, because I go there, so there's to see
You
what's
go to
going on.
Bunker Hill?
Yeah. But I don't know that we still need to meet that often, but I don't know if you and Sherry agree, maybe we should keep up the momentum since we have them involved right now and at least maybe in a couple months. Have them.
You talked about doing it quarterly, so that would be 4 times a year that would come together. And I did talk to Brian at the city today, and the city is interested in getting us.
Yeah, Jennifer had said something to me too. Okay. Good. Well, I'll work on that then.
Any other public comment?
Do I need to stand? All right. I was unable to make the meeting regarding the proposed millage for roads. It is my feeling that with the current state of affairs and property values declining, the township, even with the millage, is going to be unable to maintain all of the roads that are paved in the township. And they should strongly consider allowing many of the paved roads to go back to gravel, as gravel is far easier to maintain and far cheaper to maintain, and focusing on 2 or 3 east-west as well as 2 or 3 north-south roads and maintaining those roads in a paved state, rather than focusing on maintaining all the roads and not being able to properly address any of them.
Thank you, Tom. We'll give you an opportunity later to, as we get into that discussion, if you have any more to add to that. We will be talking about that. Were there any additions to the agenda? I do have one addition. I think I overlooked it to mention to Sherry. I would like to add the Mead and Hunt proposal that for the funding of the signing of, and the signing of the contract to move forward with the joint city township master plan project that we've been discussing here for the last few months. And I'd like to maybe insert that right after Barb her presentation, so she doesn't have to sit through that if she doesn't want to.
You want me to dismantle all this while you're discussing it? It's okay.
I'm sure it won't take, didn't take too long to set it up, I'm sure it won't take
All
too
right.
long. So, but, if there's no objections to that. Okay. Minutes from last month's meeting. Any comments, questions, or corrections to the minutes from last month? Thank you, Mrs. Fiesel. The minutes will stand as presented. Treasurer's report, Patty.
As I recall, I didn't see any issues or concerns about it. I'll take any questions from my hands.
Any questions of Patty this evening? Thank you, Patty. Bills for this month. I see the firemen are getting their quarterly paycheck here. If we approve the bills anyway. entertain a motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $32,666.18.
I have a motion on the floor to pay the bills. Support? Support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Vickers.
Yes.
Hen.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Diesel, yes. Caledonia.
Yes.
Motion carries. Cemetery report, Judy?
Well, we had a meeting and things are moving right along. Looks like the map sign project is going to start taking shape and hopefully there'll be something there by Memorial Day. And they completed the survey on all of the lots right by the barn, from this new section to the barn. And already have some sold, and so that was great, got more interest in that. And he's doing a lot of cleanup and grinding stumps and,
Great. This is roofing. Have you talked to her at all? Remind me to- Well, I don't know, remind me to ask her, after the meeting.
okay,
The Ruthie family was on the south side of the driveway, and I know there was some talk about, him wanting to be close to that.
Mhm.
when they-
well,
so
the
I need to-
opportunity for those, yes.
Yeah, so I just need
Make sure she's aware of
to,
it.
yeah, I did too.
Really had quite a bit of interest. We made enough of the sales to pay for the survey already,
Wow,
so.
okay.
Anyway, that's,
Go to the city.
any other questions, anybody?
Thank you, Judy. Fire department report, as I mentioned, it's payday for the firemen, they'll be getting their quarterly checks. The fire runs have slowed down a little bit of late, there's quite a run there back in the winter, but haven't heard much out of the fire department, so I
We
think
don't wanna
that's,
jinx it.
yeah, no doubt. Any questions about the fire department? Zoning and building, Jerry?
Things are fairly quiet for the time being. Be getting letters out here probably next week to remind a few in particular of our cleanup days, the 21st. And hopefully get that moving along.
Questions of Jerry? Thank you, Jerry. Planning Commission report. Anybody have any comments on the latest Planning Commission report? I wasn't there that evening, so.
Just basically covered goals that were established when the original plan was written in '99. Looking at 2020 as where the group hoped the city and the township would be. Then some of them do need to be revisited as to, like, for instance, tree planting in the township and along township roads and all that. A few other things, you can tell that the ones that wrote it were, I'll call them East Lansing types as far as some of the things that they wanted to do. So, yet to be determined if we want to be that way or not.
You've rubbed off on your planning commission. Because
Excuse me?
they weren't really interested in planting a whole lot more trees to maintain.
That was my influence on
I'm
the-
just saying,
Wow.
I'm thinking, wow.
I think that probably had something to do with it, they're all the,
I'm getting kind of a rush here with all this.
knock over the past, the farm equipment.
That was the feeling I got from that one statement, was like, we're not gonna plant more trees.
Along the road, right away.
I'm teasing, I'm kidding.
I love trees in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like them when they're right up next to the edge of the road, and I don't like them in my fields. I don't
Did I
like
take
them.
that out of context?
Well, I was gonna say,
No, you didn't.
where do you think there should be woods? Cause you think it should all be
That's
your
really a
field.
question that, if I lived in the middle of Nebraska, I'd be pretty happy, okay? Or somewhere. I have nothing against them, I just don't like having to work around them.
I kind of felt Dallas's vibe in the room, they got to talking about the trees being planted.
I do not enjoy enjoy traversing our roads and having tree limbs banging against my,
The road
in my
commission
trucks.
has worked very hard at maintaining and getting them cleaned up, yes, they have.
I think for the last, almost 16 years, I've been complaining about that issue every chance I see anybody from the road commission. I was always gently reminding them not to forget our tree limbs. Unfortunately, they haven't gotten them all yet, but.
They've been doing a lot of ditch work out in my area though.
A lot.
I've never seen them quite do it that way. Have you noticed it's like they're grinding up trees in big
Mhm.
chunks all over the place?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Jeremy, there was more to your report, I think.
Aha. Can you see, or should we dim the lights?
I can turn off the lights, I can't.
Oh, that's much better, yeah.
Alright. Again, my name is Barb Keeler. I'm head librarian at the Leslie branch of the Capital Area District Library, and I'd like to share with you our annual report for 2011. It was a good year for our branch. While the items checked out remained about the same, the number of patrons who visited was up 6.8%. Our summer reading program increased by 9%, and our program attendance overall was up by 24%. Libraries are full of information in various forms. Our computers are in use every day. Just come in after school gets out and see. Our books, CDs, and DVDs circulate constantly. Computer classes are offered year-round for those who want to learn basic computer skills or explore different computer programs such as Excel or Publisher. E-readers have become more popular. We provide support to get you started. We have very complete handouts and/or personal attention to get you started. We also offer training from our specialist, Scott Dimstra, seen in the top photo. Stop in to see our e-reader display. We have a Nook and a Kindle for you to try out right in the library to see if you'd be interested in learning more. We offered weekly story times that included songs, movement, and crafts. Curious George visited in March for a very special story time, and seasonal crafts are offered after school for the school kids. Throughout the year, we have adult programs, such as our Remember When and book discussion groups, which, okay, I said that wrong, varied groups for adults, including some special areas of interest like Diana Stampfler's Michigan Bridges and Valerie Van Heest's Gales of November shipwreck presentations. Family programs included Spooky Stories Night with candle crafts, 3 Cheers for Winter, origami lessons from Kathy, and our own library version of A Minute to Win It that involved all members of the family. Local author Christina Garcia visited and shared from her stories with the after-school crowd. In December, Dave Aldridge and his rooftop reindeer landed on our front lawn, and later that evening, Harpus Vienna Bordeaux entertained inside. Overall, we attracted over 550 people for our annual holiday open house. Volunteers are terrific. Our local people have generously volunteered to share their knowledge and skills with our community. Special thanks go to Erica Willard for her not-so-extreme couponing class. I don't know if you can see her classy glasses. They're dollar signs over her eyes as she shared how to save money. Dick Helliker did a program called How to Choose a Dog. We had doll collecting with Cindy Zimmerman, Aladdin lamps with David and Gail Smith, and of course Tim Howery's genealogy classes are a few examples of other programs that were shared with us. The genealogy class is ongoing as a result of the interest that was generated in the 175th. And of course, our lovely knitters who knit and crochet lap blankets, slippers, and hats for the Heartland Hospice program who meet weekly at the library. Still other volunteers have shared their collections in our display case. Stop in each month, it changes. We appreciate all our local patrons. Seamus O'Reilly, the 1870 railroad engineer, took Woodworth 3rd and 4th graders and White Pine students on a time travel journey across America as they learned about the building of the Transcontinental Railroad. 2nd graders visited in the fall to receive their first library cards. Woodworth elementary classes and 6th graders all visited in the spring to learn about the summer reading program. Fun, fun, fun. What else can I tell you? The summer reading theme was One World, Many Stories. We had storytellers, animals, music, and actors, including Chad Patterson from Leslie. He's the dog on the right in that middle photo. And we love having him back every year. Children read and earned prizes throughout the summer. Morgan Purdy, who is Lynn Jenks' granddaughter, won the Children's Prize drawing. Teens were treated to a trip around the world weekly through food, crafts, and games during the summer. They started their journey with the henna tattooing from India. Now, they were really excited about this. It's kind of hard to see all these intricate designs on their hands. After they put this dye on their hands, they had to then go home and put a glove over them and keep it warm overnight. So they really, and not sleep on it or it would smear. They really wanted this temporary tattoo. It did fade quickly. And where would we be without our friends groups? They had their annual book sale during spring break. But did you know they do more than sell books? They held a spring cleanup day to spruce up the outside of our building. They hosted our annual holiday open house, and they sponsored 2 trips. First one to the Toledo Museum of Art, and the second one to the Noel Restaurant and Meyer Gardens in Grand Rapids. Our staff remained fairly constant in that we only lost 1 page. Natalie Henson left us and was replaced by Madison Every. We still geek the library and what it offers for you. Stop in to see what we can help you with. The library staff enjoys being a part of the Leslie community and appreciates the support of the community, our patrons, the Leslie Area United Fund for supporting our summer reading program, Leslie Public Schools and White Pine Academy, the Friends of the Library, and of course, the city and you, the township. Thank you for your continued support of our library. Are there any questions? Same song and dance, but this year you got to watch instead of just listen. We do try to offer a wide variety so that we reach all ages. So that's an overview of what we have done, and we hope you will come to see us.
Are you gonna have the couponing class again?
Probably in the fall, maybe, because I'm already set for summer. But for those of you that don't frequent us, here's a listing of the things that we have coming up and a pen so you can write down what it is. Thank you. And keep track. My pen's fell off. There we go.
Okay, one question on Kindle. If I bring a Kindle in, can you put a book on it?
Sure. We'll show you how to put a book on it.
Oh, okay, great.
And
How long
do you
is
have
it?
a Kindle Touch, a Kindle Fire?
Fire.
You'll have the book for 2 weeks. And then if you don't finish it, it magically disappears. So read fast. Voice of experience here. Yes.
I think I read where you're going back to a fine system,
Yes, we are.
and the reason
That
for
is-
that is slow return of materials.
Yes, to make people more accountable, because so many of you, if you know, you put books on hold and you wait and wait and you keep saying, check and see, I've had this on hold forever. Well, people just take their time because there's no responsibility on their part to get it back on time. So you may be
Took
waiting.
care of that.
That's for sure.
And any revenue projections if it was in
The
place today?
revenue is a very, very small percentage. It was less than, I'm not gonna tell you I'm terrible on numbers, but it was very, very small, like a point something
Yeah, it's
to make a difference.
insignificant.
So it was
Yeah.
not a money question to do it. It was to make people more responsible in getting things back. We had tried sending people who had large amounts to, what do you call it?
Small claims,
Collections,
or
collections agency. And what happened was, instead of paying the overdue fines, they turned in those 5- and 6-year-old materials, which, they're already out of the system at this point. We can't use them, but then we didn't get any revenue to replace them with. We got the old books back that we had to get rid of. So they thought maybe this would be better to keep the current items. Okay. All right, I'll be out of your way in just a few minutes. Any other questions? Please come and visit us.
Very nice presentation.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Okay,
I
so
thought
lots
it's
of good
better if you
things.
can see some of what we do, because I know you're all very busy and can't make all our programs or visit. But the e-reader helps with that. A lot of things you can do online. We have a new freeze system that if you're going to be on vacation and you're next in line for that book you've been waiting for 3 months, You could freeze it, and when you come back, unfreeze it, and you go right back to the top of the list without losing your place.
Oh.
So, got a flyer on that, stop in and see us.
I don't know, I figured out how to do the library book on the Nook finally, and I feel quite,
Accomplished?
yes.
It was not that difficult, the handouts are very good.
Well, if you read it.
Oh, step by step, they're excellent, Judy.
Well, not that I am self-taught.
No, but we do work with you, we have some excellent directions for how to do it. If you do have an e-reader, or if you have children that think you need one and you really didn't want it, we will help you one-on-one and get you started.
So you're just downloading them off the internet then, off your website?
Well, it depends. If you have a Nook, it has to go through your computer and you swap it over. If you've got a Kindle, you do this, and next time you're near a Wi-Fi hookup, it's like that, and it's right there. It's really nice.
Then when it's due back, it's, oh.
It is fast. The Kindles are really fast, I'm telling you.
But now, there's no renewal on an e-book, is there?
No, there's
I
not.
didn't think so.
No,
I didn't read any fine print, I just been reading fast.
No, there's not, unfortunately.
Technology won't put you out of a job, will it?
I don't think so. I think there's enough other projects going on in the
There's
system. I
there's
should be
enough
fine.
Non-e-readers out there, email readers. out
That's
there,
true.
E-readers.
That's true.
You can do books on disc too, can't you?
Yes.
So-
Audiobooks.
Audiobooks, yeah,
Yes.
you can download.
You can download them to your MP3 player. And there are audiobooks for the Kindle also. That's why I got a Kindle, because I like audiobooks. I have not yet tried one myself, but
Are you
if I know
not-
you're coming in, I'll try one.
Are you not compatible with the iPad then, or?
We have directions to the iPad also.
So are you just?
I'm cheap, I didn't buy an iPad.
Well, I only say that because I know that Apple and like Adobe don't play well, and there's certain things that, you know.
No, they are now part of it so that you can download to your iPad.
I don't think there's anything you don't do. I mean, you just about can
So if you don't,
electronically.
I'm sorry. So if you download an ebook and you don't finish the book in 2 weeks,
Then
Can
you
you
have to
go
go
in-
back in and
can you-
order it again.
but you can do that, right?
You can order it again, and as long as there's no one waiting for it on the list, you can get it right back. If somebody's ahead of you, then you'll have to wait.
But you only have so many ebooks?
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
like unlimited supply?
No, we only have so many.
It's amazing how many people are waiting for some of those.
Right, especially the newer titles,
Oh my
yes.
gosh.
Because it's something new, the lady that does the ordering, she only has so much money to spend.
43
Why
or
wouldn't you
something.
have unlimited? I mean, isn't it
Because you have to pay for each one of those.
Really?
Just like buying a book, we have to pay for each one of those. And so Sarah, who does our ordering, is very good about deciding how many that we can afford that will circulate for a certain amount of time, and she has it all figured
But I
out.
think right after Christmas too.
Oh, gee.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
everybody
yes.
got them for Christmas and you went on there and it's like, you know, you'd be number 60 out of.
There were
Yeah.
very few that were not checked out right after
Yeah.
Christmas. Everybody had to try it.
So does the CADL think they have adequate funds to make the progress or and do what they need to do, or with their millage, or?
Well, we are doing the best we can with what we have. We have a very good financial director, and 2 or 3 years ago, we started looking towards the recession and what have you, and we started making cuts back then. So we're in every area, we are making cuts where we can to keep ourselves at this level so we can continue to do what we're doing without asking for more at this point. Who knows what 2 years will bring.
So is an electronic copy the same cost as a printed copy? Like if you had to, I'm just trying to think of the cost.
That, I don't know, I would have to ask.
I mean, it's not, my only question is if you have the book in an electronic form, do you still have it on the shelf to be checked out?
Mhm.
So you still do both?
Right, we do, because not everybody is going to go to the e-reader. Some people like the feel of that book in their hands, and they're not going to give it up. So
It's a
that's why she has to
generational thing.
balance the money between real books and the electronics.
Well, if you get tired of waiting for it electronically, you might want to go get some book.
That's right. Or if you just lost it and there's 16 people ahead of you and you need 3 more pages to read, come on in and read those last 3 pages.
True.
All right, other questions? Please stop in and see it. We keep a book loaded on each one so that you can play with it and see what it does and see how it works. Any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, plug the camera.
Yeah.
I hate to have that all run out of juice.
That's on battery, isn't it?
Thank you, Deanna.
Thanks, Tom. That was a joke. You're gonna have to get yourself a helper to move all your
Well,
equipment.
you notice this is the first time they let me come on my own. Last night I had a helper, but nobody could come tonight, so I was on my own. And I thank you again for allowing me to come and meet with you.
Thank you. We'll see you next year.
Yes,
Or
yes,
sooner.
unless you come to see me.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, just slide it outside now.
I
okay?
do remember
Thank
your
you.
age now.
Yeah,
You're
right.
retired.
Yeah, watch yourself there. Okay,
Oldest man in the room.
moving along.
Oldest man in the.
You all should have a copy of your
That will-
maiden hunt agreement, I believe, and I talked with Brian Reed this afternoon, and the city council last evening approved their portion of moving forward with this project, contingent upon us moving forward, so I guess it's time to discuss this proposal that's been proposed and either move forward or not, so. I would open up the discussion on the meat and hunt proposal to move forward on a shared master plan for Leslie Township and city combined. Any questions on this?
You didn't happen to ask them how their payment's gonna go?
I did.
Oh,
They are planning on, they have it all budgeted in their next year's budget.
12, 13,
Yeah, that's their plan. I don't believe it's an issue. It was Brian's understanding, along with my understanding, that once we have these contracts signed and we're moving forward, that Lynn will start to work on that right away. So if we did want to pay for part of the funds here in this budget year, we could do that because she will be performing a service in this budget year, at least starting it, so.
Will Jerry be our designated representative then as our zoning administrator, or will the supervisor take on that role?
I guess whatever the board would like. I would probably recommend Jerry to do that, if he was so inclined to accept that.
He looks pretty excited back there.
Well, it's an age thing, you know.
Just smiles a lot, now does he? How would Jerry feel about it?
Des, can you remind me how?
Yeah, I
Just
can,
quickly.
I guess I can bring everybody up to speed again. This is we've been having some discussions over the last probably year about the feasibility of trying to put together a master plan that both the city and the township could agree on. So both entities' master plans matched. So, as we move forward into if this is accomplished, then any future zoning would, whether it's from the city or the township, would, in theory, follow a master plan, rather than just kind of a hodgepodge, go here, go there type thing. The goal is to try to, stay away from hostile situations that happen similar to the Ignatius, development project out there, so.
And the cost would be shared and.
Yeah, our share of this, will be 50%, the city's gonna do 50%. And, accept his proposal and allow either myself or Sherry, I'm not sure who would sign this.
Probably you, Dennis.
I guess authorize me to sign this agreement.
Make a motion that we accept the meat and hunt agreement as written, authorizing the supervisor to sign that with a limit on the funds to be spent of $15,000.
Just so it's clear, Fred, is it your intention to, that it's not to exceed 15,000, is that?
Not to exceed,
Okay,
right.
that's what I thought.
What did I say?
Well, I think you said that, but I just wanted to make sure I understood
sure.
it that way.
Yeah, not to exceed
And I'm
15,000.
glad you phrased it that way,
Mhm.
that's a good way to phrase it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that that was your intent, so. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a support for this proposal. Roll call, please.
Henny,
Yes.
Wade,
Yes.
Diesel, yes, Palatine.
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes.
Motion carries. I will get this taken care of. Okay. Ballot request. We had a town hall meeting last Wednesday evening that we had sent a newsletter out to everyone in the township, inviting them to come down and talk about the situations for the local roads in Leslie Township. Talk about why the roads are in the shape they are and the circumstances involved. And I was hoping for a huge turnout, which would have been great, but we had, I don't know, 30, 35, 40 maybe people. And had a nice discussion. And what we were looking for was to just get a general feel from people as to what their thoughts were in regard to what Leslie Township should be doing in terms of maintaining their roads and trying to deal with the situation that we have. And it was my opinion, based upon that meeting, that the general consensus was that people felt that probably moving forward with some sort of a millage proposal to be placed on the ballot would be the appropriate action. And so I guess we're here tonight to discuss that and decide if the board would like to move forward with that. And if they do, how much of a millage request we would go for. And so that's where we're at. You all were at the meeting. Did I misinterpret that by any way?
The constituents were there, were very wholehearted, wanted something to happen to the roads.
I think Tom's earlier comments are appropriate in the fact that no matter what we ask for, it's not gonna solve our problem. It isn't, but we've talked about this a little bit. We all need to come to the table, not just the township, but the state of Michigan needs to come to the table too. And so I know it's not gonna solve our problems, but we need to pay our fair share. I'm not sure what our fair share is, but I definitely think 1 mill would be headed in the right direction. I know we talked about 2 mills at the town hall meeting, but that just seems excessive to me when we have a lot of constituents that are struggling to pay their tax bills. I would be comfortable with 1 mill. I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that, but
We were surprised when the people did mention 2 mills.
I was very surprised. And not only did they mention, but they were, wow, yeah, we want our roads fixed. So I know it's not gonna solve the problem, but it is gonna take us to the table.
I think the question needs to be asked to the public. Definitely think. And I think the 1 mill is a conservative amount. The 2 mills I don't think is conservative.
Right, did you have a?
No, I think Sherry summed it up pretty well. I agree, 1 mill is probably a good millage to ask for this August there.
I know that in the past, when we had the road millage, I was very concerned. We were the only township at that time that had a road millage. And I thought that there was at some level that we were subsidizing the other townships because those dollars that we spent on our roads were dollars that the road commission didn't have to spend on our roads. And that was always a concern in the back of my mind, but I also knew that we were getting, at one time, we were getting 2 to 2.5 miles of road done a year of actual asphalt laid, and we probably have saved our bacon in terms of, had we not done that, we'd have really been in a pickle in the township. I would also agree that the 1 mil would be an adequate Band-Aid for the short term here, and I would make the suggestion that we would look at it to be a renewable type millage if we did move forward, just to look at it again in 4 years or 5 years, whatever the board decided, to make sure that we were getting what we wanted done, and that, you know, the voters had an opportunity to express their opinions one way or the other. And I also think it's important that we realize that even though this won't solve the problem, if we did, I would be in favor of 2 mills if the county was saying, we're gonna give you, you know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in cost sharing, and they really were coming to the table. Maybe that would be a different conversation, but until that happens, I think that the 1 mill will ensure that we can at least get the cost sharing that is being offered currently, and that we would be able to at least kick the can down the road, so to speak, for at least another 5 to 6 years, and hopefully by then the state and the county will get their act together. Tom?
How about addressing the roads rather than looking at a Band-Aid patchwork type of thing and actually resurface the roads and address the problem and go for 3 or 4 mills and really fix the roads rather than a Band-Aid approach. At which point then you're not gonna have to have your renewals. The people will have the roads, as you're saying, that they want, and it will be addressed. What you're approaching now is just a patchwork approach, and the roads are still going to become destroyed with the trucks and the farm equipment driving on them. I mean, you could put a 1-inch layer on everything and have it be destroyed in 1 year.
I don't know about a year, but I understand your thought process, and I think it gets back to that whole notion, if we was that aggressive, and at some levels I would agree with that then we would be truly subsidizing other parts of the county, because then the county road commission would really be off the hook for doing hardly any maintenance in our township, because we would be funding it all. And quite frankly, what we really need to do is bide our time to a degree, in my opinion, because I think the state is gonna get this thing fixed a little bit. I think there's enough of a clamor statewide to get the funding situation addressed. And I think we will see an increase in cost sharing. We will see maybe some chip sealing coming back from the road commission at some point in the future. But just setting back, the question is, do we sit back and do nothing and let them die a death if they're dying, or do we try to be a little bit proactive here? The problem we're running into today is, we talked about it at our meeting, and I guess several of you weren't here, so I'll kind of review some of it. In 2002, the township was getting close to $200,000 a year in state revenue sharing. We were getting the $24,000 in match match from the county. You could do a mile of road for $45,000 or $50,000. Today, we're getting $147,000 from the state. We're still getting the same match from the county in a mile of road to resurface 2 inches, somewhere in the neighborhood of $110,000 to $20,000. So, as you can see, we can't keep up with that cost increase, and we're struggling now with the cut in revenue sharing to even come up with a match to get our $24,000 a year from the county as it is. So the millage would allow us to ensure that we do get our match, that those dollars do come to Wallasey Township, that we've all paid in our gas taxes. it would be a shame for us not to let those dollars just go to somebody else. And that's kind of a,
I'm just coming from the standpoint, my road, Blackmore, was resurfaced a year and a half ago. It is pretty much at the point of where it was not even resurfaced. Cracks in it are quite significant, all the way down. I think what you're running, by taking the Band-Aid approach, you're running the risk of the Verge-Bernero effect. I got your money, and I'm gonna do a subpar fix or subpar work on what I took your money for, and yet I'm still gonna take your money and use it for whatever I want. And you are really running that risk by taking this chip seal or whatever you're calling it, and having it have to be done every year and a half to 2 years. So you're gonna come back to me again in 2 years and say, well, we didn't do it right the first time, so we want more money from you so that we can do it right the second time around. If you're gonna do the work, do it right the first time. It's far cheaper to do it right the first time than to do this Band-Aid approach.
I would agree with that. The question is whether people will accept that, what it's gonna truly take, you know.
The people have to
That's the
either
question.
accept it or watch their roads decay. There's no in between.
Yeah, but if you went for 3 or 4 miles or whatever you're talking about, and it doesn't pass, then we have nothing. Or if you go for 1, maybe people will vote for it, and at least you've got something.
So you have something to what with? To put on your
True
Band-Aid?
Band-Aid. You know, I
To
mean,
put on your Band-Aid.
But, well, you know, chip sealing does help quite a bit there. It keeps the roads that are starting to show cracks and crevices there, that seals the cracks so that.
I was just
You
down
didn't
here on
take it.
Kinneyville. I was just out here on Kinneyville.
That's a mess.
That was done last year. It, or whatever the east-west road here by this farm. It may not be Kinneyville, but
Oh, up by Main Street?
yeah,
Oh, I thought you were talking about
it,
further out.
it's falling apart.
Over?
No, it's east-west.
Kirby and
Well,
But yes, the chip seal works to keep the water out, but it doesn't stop the destruction from these trucks.
well, Tom, here's the math on it, okay? And the road life is in theory 20 years, assuming that it's chip sealed and it's maintained normally, okay? Without chip sealing, you can cut that in half or even by 2/3. And what we're proposing, what we'll probably look at doing is at least try to get the chip sealing to get our 20-year life out of what we have. And hopefully this issue will be dealt with at the level upstairs in Lansing that needs to be dealt with.
How old are the roads now? You told me earlier
They're
that
old.
they were about 25 years old,
That's
so
right.
they're at the end of their useful life.
A lot of them are. Roads like your road that, that was resurfaced a few years ago, have still got potential. There's some of the roads like, that have Culvert Road out here that hasn't been done in Coon's age, and, they're almost to the point that chip sealing won't be of any value. And we probably wouldn't really look at doing those roads. They would have to, at some point in time, be dealt with and do a resurfacing, so. At the point where we're kinda at right today, to summarize, is doing nothing, is signing the seal of death for our roads. We know what's gonna happen, they're gonna fall apart completely, and this at least is something, and, it may not be perfect, but it's maybe as far as we can go today, but.
are people you're talking to in favor of 3 or 4 mills?
The people I talk to don't want a millage period.
Okay, that's why.
They would rather have dirt roads.
Are these the people you're talking to or talking with?
I suppose with.
Just checking.
Oh, isn't there a cost associated even with a dirt road?
If you wanna keep the dust
I
down.
was thinking there was, they're keeping the dust down with chloride.
they're always working on Kelly Road, you know.
assume some of that, but I think the township has to,
No, I don't think
Aren't
the
they
township
coming
does, I think that.
Well, one of the major, when I go to the supervisors meetings, one of the major topics of conversation amongst the rural townships up north is who they're gonna buy their chloride from, how much they're paying, and it's really a big expense item for them, because they have, almost all their roads are dirt, and of course, people want the dust settled, or dust under control, so they have to have a chloride program, and they have to pay for that. And it's a major expense, and there's all kinds of,
I wonder if we have not been because we don't have that many.
I guarantee you, if we went to all gravel roads, they'd find a way to charge you for it.
Oh, yeah.
That they would
Oh, yeah.
change the rules, even if you don't today, they would.
Well, my concern is this whole cost thing is just getting worse and worse and worse, and I see no end of that in sight. So then, my thought process is, then what are we gonna do if, you know, I mean, we're not gonna be paying 96 or however many grand, you know, to do a mile of road, so, you know, what are we gonna do?
I guess that's a question that we all, as Leslie Township residents, and Ingham County and the state of Michigan, are gonna have to answer. And I guess if we want to have paved roads, we're gonna have to come up with the money to pay for them.
Yeah,
I mean, that's,
crazy.
to put it bluntly, that's,
I know.
you know, and
It just
if
blows
we
my
don't
mind.
wanna pay for it, and we want them to go back to gravel, then that's what'll happen. So I guess that's ultimately, this board will have to, one thing I will make the comment, and I will, as a board member, not ever be in favor of spending our local funds for primary roads. There's been lots of chatter from the road commission for us to be chip sealing some of these primary roads that need chip sealing also, and I'll never vote for that. We can't even keep up with our local roads. I'm sure not gonna pay for the darn roads that they're getting federal dollars from to pay for, so.
Now, Dallas, correct me if I'm wrong, but last year or year before, because we were talking about Culver Road at that huge expense, we decided not to do it. Then the next year, didn't the road commission basically come out and tell you that they weren't advising you to pave any more roads, that to put your money towards chip sealing?
Well,
Was that a conversation that you had with them?
They would prefer, because they know that the chip sealing is that important, that we're gonna lose all the roads if we don't do
Absolutely.
something.
So at that point in time, that's what they were advising us to do, they didn't even feel that paving roads was a good value. I mean.
Well, I think for the limited funds that we have, if you have to choose, yes.
Okay, I thought that's how that conversation went.
If you put millage on in August and it can go, could you drop it back and put it on November? Would there be time to do all you
It's
need
a
to do?
real small window, but we would have to have a special meeting in order to get the ballot language approved.
So
because
try
there's
for
a small
10 and
window.
then 1 or 2 would look real good.
We also have to be very careful because we have fire millage that goes on this August as well. And that's vital. There's no getting around that. Well, whatever you guys decide, you need to tell me. We don't have to, we're not voting tonight, but you need to tell me what direction to take for the ballot language, and I will bring it back to you at the meeting. If you want me.
Is it the board's intention that we should move forward with having the ballot language drawn forward for mail in August?
I believe the public needs to be aware that we need those funds, yes.
I think so.
yeah. It's a good idea.
Are we going to do what we did previously and do for the 5 years for the first round, and then renew it on a 4-year basis if it's passed?
Correct.
So you wanted me to ask the attorney to draw up for 1 mil for roads for a 5-year period? Okay. I'll bring that back to the May meeting.
Now, do we have to have some type of proposal for the fire then at this time too?
I will bring that back to the May meeting as well. I'm sorry, I guess I should ask you that question. I made the assumption that we were gonna.
How, how often is the fire? The fire is every 4, isn't it?
It is every 4, but what
Every
we did
election
with
year?
that, it's every presidential election.
Presidential,
Yes.
okay.
But what we did on that was the first time is we did it for 5 years, so kind of going back to Todd's scenario, if that didn't pass, we would still have 1 more year of millage. We didn't want to put ourselves into the position of having to say no and then.
Well, I was just thinking down the road in 5 years,
then you go back in 4 years and request it again, because what it
Oh,
does is give you
okay,
that little, that year,
I
gives
see.
you that little
Okay.
bit.
You asked
Right.
for it,
The first time.
okay, I got you.
And it's renewed every 4 years.
It's renewed every 4 years.
Renewed every
Right,
presidential.
so that gives you that gap just in case there's an issue.
Okay, we'll look for that in May. Moving forward, annual meeting date, Sherry?
Patty,
You were looking at the third Wednesday in June, I believe it's the 20th, does that sound right?
yes, June
Third
20th.
Wednesday, are people available for that?
Good day. Okay. Do we need a motion for that, Ms. Diesel?
You could do it motion by that, would be awesome.
I'll move to hold the annual meeting June 3rd to June 20th, the third Wednesday in June at 6 o'clock.
Support for the motion?
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Diesel, yes, Palatine,
Yes.
Vickers,
Yes.
Henny,
Yes.
Wade.
Yes.
We'll see you on the 20th. Legal correspondence, Sherry.
Do you want me to do anything with the 911 or you wanna?
I would like to table that till
Just
next
hold
month.
it
We
for
need
next
to-
month?
We need to, I need to do some research on that.
Okay. We got our, invitation for the next meeting of the Ingham County Chapter of Michigan Township Association, which is next Wednesday at 6:30 at Lock Township. Information from the Ingham County Road Commission about the 2012 Local Road Improvement Program. From Enbridge Energy, it talks about pipeline safety. And that's all I have.
Fred, did you have anything? Judy? Patty? I had another letter that I know that came to this week for me from Enbridge. It looks like they're gonna be doing some upgrades and some maintenance on the pipeline going through, evidently Leslie Township. So it was just a kind of like a courtesy to let us know that they will be contacting this summer the landowners that this affects, and kind of an FYI on that. Did we need to do something with this?
Oh, I didn't have that in my file. That was just, it said at the end, unless you wanted something different than what they had proposed in resolution, just informational purposes from Burnham and Flower regarding the pension plan, correct?
Right. The other thing, I think I put in everybody's box, if somebody's interested in going to the sheriff's barbecue luncheon, that's on the 16th at 11:30. It'll include a tour of the shooting scenario and sheriff update and whatever, so if anybody's interested in doing that, they'd be welcome. I think you all had a copy of that, so if you're interested in going, you can go to that. I also remind everyone about the cleanup day is on the 21st, so everybody clean up their garages or whatever. And I think that was all I had. Sherry? Any additional public comment? All quiet tonight, Dale.
What do you want me to say?
Sorry?
No, yeah, on that millage, like, you were going for 1 mill, like, the way it was explained downstairs, you know, that 1 mill's not gonna get you nowhere, it seemed like you gotta go at least 1.5 mills. It was discussed down there to get anywhere, for the dollars you were talking about.
Todd?
He has a
Are you
good
doing
point.
the Nixon or?
He has a good point. It seemed like when you were talking about 2 mills and the amount of money coming in, how much 23 miles of a road, you could almost resurface a mile and chip seal, and 5 miles, you couldn't quite keep up, but it seemed like that would almost take care of the problem. That's just my 2 cents. I'll vote for, anything up to 10.
You certainly can.
Just to, I agree with you guys 100%, except for, I don't think this is our problem. I think this is everybody's problem. And just like I don't know how to phrase it, coming to the table, I think we're coming to the table with 1 mil, but I don't think that it's our responsibility to solve the problem. I think we need to be part of the solution, not the entire solution. And if we, you know, the more we put into it, we become the entire solution. So I know 1 mil isn't a lot, and it's not gonna get us a whole lot, but it's a start. And maybe, you know, if it isn't working out and the state doesn't come to the table, maybe we need to go back to our residents and ask for more, but we have to start someplace. That's kind of how I feel about that.
Well, I worry that people will freak out if you come with much more, because
I agree.
there are a lot of people who feel strongly about the roads until they start thinking
Until they have
about
to start paying for it.
I mean, I think we all agree that it'd be nice if we could ask for more, but it's,
Exactly.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
exactly.
money.
There's just so much other stuff.
I think you have to prove that you're gonna do first with the 1 mil that you say you're gonna do, and then maybe come back. And it's gotta be very specific, because we know that we probably won't be able to resurface the road. So it should be attached or not part of, but when you talk about the 1 mil, you need to say this will chip seal 10 miles of road. You know, that's not language on the ballot, of course, but when people
Don't
ask
set
you.
the expectations too
Yeah.
high, but.
Yeah, when people ask you what you're gonna do with the money, tell them that we've gotta
so they know you're not
perform.
gonna come out and have all the roads done and everything's
Yeah,
gonna be
right.
wonderful.
Well, I also think your millage, the language should be specific that it's going to go directly to the roads and not to
Oh,
your
it
general
has to.
fund
We found
and
that out.
transfer to
Yeah.
whatever funding
And that goes
gains.
to general fund.
We found
Has to
that
go
out,
to
didn't
its
we?
own.
Mr. Vickers, with the
You mean
conservation,
kinda
we're
like
trying to
the
find ways to
Lansing
get to
Police
that
and Fire
farmland.
millage.
Not you, the
The-
other.
Yeah.
In Leslie Township anyway, anytime that we've ever done a vote of a millage request, it's always been very specific. We currently have a fire mill, it goes 100% to the fire department. Quite, you know, not that we're so noble, it's just the law says that's what you have to do. So, we
Right,
follow
but
the law, but
I
this
don't
will
want
Things
be,
can be-
visitors at the jail, I really don't.
but things can be diverted,
well,
just like Verge is diverting it to make office space in his police building.
we,
They can very easily use the fire millage for whatever fun and games they're having over at the fire department also. I mean, once you get the money, you guys are really the ones in control. All you have to do is just say, I'm using this for, let's say, Dallas's road, and I'm going to repave the entire road in front of Dallas's house because I'm Dallas Henny and the supervisor. So this road is going to benefit me and not Tom Sears, who said that his road can go to gravel.
You know, the biggest thing, Tom, that happens with dedicated millages is that whoever's handling that millage, they all charge an administrative fee. And that doesn't happen here at the township. You know, the township isn't gonna set $25,000 aside because Sherry and Patty write the vouchers for the payments and that kind of stuff. That happens with the zoo, it happens with the juvenile justice millage, it happens with the farmland preservation millage. You know, the controller gets
They have to have
administrative
roads.
fees
They
out
have
of it. And one thing about local government is that generally does not happen. All that money, whether it's $75,000 or $78,000, will go right back into what it's designed for, whether it be fire or roads.
and one of the interesting things about local government, being this local, is that we have to look you in the eye every day, whether it's passing through town or coming to our meetings, and we have to live with everybody in this township. And if we tried to pull some shenanigans like that, I think we get a pretty good opportunity to talk to people directly, and they're not shy about letting you know if you're doing something silly. And usually it's a good way to get unelected really quick. So I think I feel really confident in the 16 years I've been involved here that we've handled the township's money pretty well. So, but to answer your question, if we put a millage on the ballot for a specific use, in this case roads, those dollars will 100% go to the roads. That's the way it works.
Last time the ballot language said for improvement, maintenance, and repair of roads within Mosley Township. It was very specific.
So, any other public comment? Does the board want to change their 1 mil request? This is your last chance. You've been lobbied, so.
You know, I hear your comments back there on the 2 to 2.5 to 10 mils and whatever. But there's a lot of people in this township
It's the devil's advocate.
that would impose a real hardship.
I know it would.
And it's, you know, I think if we get a mill, we'll be fortunate. I think that's a good thing.
It's important that we keep our fire millage in.
Okay. No other comment? We'll stand adjourned at 7:02. Oh, Jerry, did you have something?
Well, I was just gonna say, if the board does want me to work with the joint planning commission, I'll be happy to do that.
Oh.
Oh, that's right, we can cut him off.
We kinda got
We just
Side
already,
shift
we just
somewhere
already
here.
assumed you were gonna do it.
You didn't even wait for your answer. It's like, oh, he's doing it. I already wrote down that you were doing it, Jerry. I didn't know what the problem.
Well, geez,
Just wanted to make sure.
You didn't fall over, so.
Light those candles up so you can blow them out before you forget.
Well, she really wants you to start that fire. Come on, dude.
We'll stand
Uh-oh.
adjourned at 7:02.
Okay.
That's part of zoning and